Nutrition is a simple topic that has been way overcomplicated, and I'm excited to share this one with you guys because this natural nutrition guide just brings it back to basics. How have we evolved to thrive for millions of years? How is our body still set up to thrive? I'm going to teach you that now. Obviously, there's going to be a real comprehensive guide, but this is just an introduction and here in this section. So we are not supposed to be sick, frail, like many people are today. One of the main reasons is because we are eating a diet not appropriate to our species. We evolved to be lean, strong, energetic, and we all deserve that. And the way to get that back, I truly believe, is a reconnection to nature through our nutrition, through the way we move, and through our lifestyle. So we're really dialing into, obviously, nutrition here today. So we evolved for millions of years as carnivores, eating a lot of meat. When I say carnivores, yes, there was some plant material involved in there, but not a lot. And the explanation behind that is for the last 2.6 million years, up until 11,700 years ago, was an ice age, a Pleistocene, where there were not fruit and vegetables growing for us to eat. There were some grasslands, which the herbivores ate, but we had those very herbivores and animals available to us to eat. And our ancestors learned to hunt these large animals like mammoths, which were known as the megafauna. They were very fatty animals. Large animals typically have more fat, and we thrived eating proteins and fats as our energy source, right? So 11,700 years ago, the Ice Age ended, a lot of the large megafauna died out, and agriculture became a thing, and that's where the real problem came in, right? So during that Pleistocene epoch, we hunted large animals as a tribe. We would even eat one animal as a tribe over even weeks. It would take weeks to eat that one large animal. So it was very time and energy efficient to go after these large animals. The foraging, yes, that may have always been a thing, but that is not very efficient in terms of the calories you get back for the time and energy you spend. It didn't make sense. So our ancestors chose that route. How do we know that's what our ancestors ate? Well, there is tests done called a stable isotope where they look at the remains of our ancestors and they do a test. And it helps us determine what they ate. In that stable isotope test, we were similar to wolves, similar to lions. We were eating like carnivores did, right? So that's not a guess. There's chemical evidence behind this stuff. And our gut, it tells the same story. Our gut today is still at the acidity level of a carnivore. In fact, even more acidic, closer to a scavenger. So as you go along the scale of stomach acidity, the more acidic, the more carnivore, okay? When you look at all species, herbivores, cows, horses, whatever, they got a acidity level like 5 to 6, let's say. Don't know the exact numbers, but let's say it's 5 to 6. Chimpanzees, maybe like 3.5 to 4.5. Carnivores like lions, wolves, maybe like 2 to 2.5. Scavengers, vultures, hyenas, all the way like 1 to 1.5. Very, very acidic. That's almost like battery acid. You wouldn't even guess where we were. Okay, now that I've given you some of this information, you'll probably know. But we are like 1.9 more acidic than lions and carnivores, closer to scavengers. Why? Because of that reason I told you earlier, we might have eaten a mammoth over multiple weeks. We learned to process and handle that decaying meat, essentially, and some of the bacteria that came with that. Okay. Now, our stomach ratio, like our intestine ratio, our small intestine is about 70% larger than a chimpanzee of relative size. Okay? Now, the small intestine digests proteins and fats, right? So over those millions of years, our small intestine had demand on it, it increased in size. Our large intestine, which processes plant material, decreased in size by a fair amount. It's only about 20% the size of a herbivore of similar size to what we would be as humans. So our cecum also disappeared. Our appendix is the remnant, the leftover of a cecum. If you go look at something like a gorilla, they have this 5-6 foot long cecum it curls around, and that helps them turn plant material into proteins and fats. So they actually digest and essentially eat proteins and fats. We don't have one anymore. We do not have a cecum. That should be pretty obvious that we can't process plant material. Your appendix is the leftover, the remnant of those ancestors where we did have a cecum. Right. Awesome. Fat metabolism, we have evolved to mobilize body fat as a source of energy, be in essentially a ketogenic state, and this is our superpower, because you can get up and go. You can hike through the hills, can move for hours, chase animals, or go and forage without the need to eat. Ketosis is our superpower as a human. If you had to eat sugar or go and forage before you had the energy to go and move, we would be in trouble. So that ketogenic state, it's very important. Our livers have learned to make ketones. We thrive in a carb-restricted state and in ketosis. It's our natural state. Awesome. Now, sugar isn't the enemy, but you don't need to ingest it. We make our own through the process of gluconeogenesis. Your body creates the exact amount of glucose that it needs, right? So glucose in the bloodstream is not the energy, but ingested glucose is a problem, because now your body has to try self-regulate, insulin levels go up and down, and it's a real mess. So yes, we can handle ingesting glucose, but think of it as an external substance that we don't really, I don't want to say a poison, but it's something that our body doesn't want in high amounts. Right. Awesome. Our ability to go without food, this really is our superpower. So the ketogenic state and our own production of glucose, this is incredible. Now, as our ancestors ate fat, they tracked the brain volume. We increased our brain volume as we ate more fats and cholesterol. When the large animals died out, we had to hunt smaller game, and there was this demand to get more technical, to develop new weapons. That grew our brains even further. So our brains continued to grow in their volume up until, guess what? The agricultural revolution. That is the first time in history, since 2.6 million years ago, that we have started to have a decline in our brain volume and obviously the activity levels that come with that. Awesome. Things really started falling apart about 10,000 years ago. We shifted to farming. Shorter heights, weaker bones. There's been tooth decay, autoimmune disease, obesity and chronic disease, shrinking brain volume, already mentioned that, but fatigue, inflammation, infertility. These are new issues since the agricultural revolution. So that's got to tell you something, guys. I don't have to, over-explain these things, but come on. We are not an omnivore. We have the ability to process some plant material, but really we are not designed for this omnivorous diet, this everything in moderation. I really don't believe that. Yes, we can eat plants, but we don't thrive on them. Cows, gorillas, they can digest cellulose, which is fiber. Fiber is cellulose. We do not have the ability to digest cellulose, guys. So it really shouldn't be in our diet in a large way. Yes, we're adaptable, and in times of starvation, you can go for that and thrive on that until you can get back to hunting or a place where there's animals available to you. But really, it's not how we thrive. Cool. So this search for health and wellness, all of these different diets coming up, and this new trends, don't fall for it. We actually need to go back in time. And yes, carnivore diet is like having a resurgence, and it might feel like one of those trends, but really, guys, the carnivore diet, eating more meat, saturated fats, that is our ancestral design. That's the way your body is still designed to thrive. So enjoy the rest of this course. I'm really going to break down how you're going to go about optimizing your nutrition, all the nitty and gritty weekly schedule. So enjoy. This is just an introduction to it. Why we evolved to thrive this way. Why a carnivore diet is working so well for so many people. Why restricting, obviously, processed foods. Okay, I don't even need to go in depth there, but the processed foods need to be out. But restricting and limiting carbohydrates of any kind does have a benefit to everyone, I truly believe, because it's our ancestral design. Love it. Cool. Chat soon, guys. Enjoy the rest of the course. Hope you enjoyed that little introduction. Cheers.